Okay, we're going to be taking a look at safety. You guys have this on your module. We're going to be looking at general safety first. And I'm going to kind of run around the room and just show you some things as we go around. Make this as interesting as possible. Number one, it says you're not allowed into the shop unless if you have passed the general safety exam with a perfect score. So you have to get 100%. Which you can take over again if you miss a few. I'll let you know which ones you missed. The next thing is, number two is wear eye protection at all times whenever you're working on a motor vehicle or part of a motor vehicle. Safety glasses are the minimum protection required. We also have goggles, face shields, welding goggles, welding helmets, and other protective equipment to keep things from getting into your eyes. Here's a whole bunch of our safety glasses here I have on the table. Everybody's going to get their own set. This one here is for if you have glasses on. This will fit over the top of your glasses, so you'll have a set of protective goggles or glasses over top your regular glasses. All right, also we have face shields. I'll show you what that looks like in case you're using something that makes sparks and you want to have some protection for your eyes. Here's a face shield. This would go over your head and protect yourself when you're using something that is shooting sparks at you or other debris. Okay, next item on our list is ask the instructor to approve all work that you plan on doing. So I need to know so I can figure out if you're capable of doing that job. How much do I have to get involved with it? And I'll discuss it with you, maybe team you up with somebody that has a little more experience that can help you get that done. Okay, number four is caution any person you see violating a safety precaution. So if you see somebody doing something that's unsafe, you can anonymously tell me, write me a note, tell somebody else. So I need to know so everybody's safe. We don't want anybody to rat each other out, but if you see somebody doing something really wrong, I would appreciate that you tell me, or we're going to all have to sit down in the classroom and not do any work. Next one is report to the instructor any equipment that seems not to be working properly. So we have lots of the pieces of equipment in the shop. So let's say you're using the tire machine over here and you see something not working, just let me know. I don't care if you broke it. I need to know so I can fix it. I have a budget to repair things. So if you see something that doesn't work or you accidentally break something, don't try to hide it, just let me know. Okay, next, if you have any injury, no matter how slight, you have to bring it to my attention immediately. So if you cut your finger or if something gets into your eye or anything like that, or you hurt your back when you're lifting something, let me know so I can maybe send you to the nurse or possibly get you a Band-Aid or something. We do have a first aid station here by the classroom. You can see it hanging on the wall. And we can open that up and we have some stuff in here for you Band-Aids and stuff like that. If it's something major, I need to send you to the nurse, get her to take a look at it. Okay, next, wear ear protection whenever loud noises are present. So we have earplugs. They're right here. You can see them inside this container here. I keep them in my office. You have to kind of ask for them so we aren't playing around with them, throwing them around the room. We have more up here if you need more earplugs. And again, you can put them in your locker. Everybody's going to have their own locker to put their stuff in. These are where all the lockers are. You can see them in the classroom here. A whole bunch of lockers. You're going to get assigned a combination so you can put all your stuff in there. Okay, next item. Safety stands must be appropriately used near each wheel, raised whenever you remove a wheel or you plan on to go under a raised vehicle. This is what a safety stand looks like. So safety stand is there to prevent you from getting hurt when you lift the car up. Here's a floor jack. The problem with a floor jack by itself is if somebody plays with this handle while you're underneath the car, they could actually lower the car on you. So what we use is these called safety stands, as you can see right here. This is what we call a safety stand. And what this does, you put it, after you lift the vehicle up, you're gonna put this under the vehicle and you can actually lift this to different heights, and then you can lower the car down on the safety stand so it's there to protect you from the car lowering on you. How you lower it down to make it, this little lever right here, if you lift that up, you can see we can change the height. We have a whole bunch of these over here in the corner. You can see they all hang out here, so when you're done using them, you can put them back where you got it from. Okay, so those are called safety stands. You should never go under a car without a safety stand under it. Okay, protect yourself from burns. Heat by name, or you could actually get burned by exhaust systems, chemical burns from batteries. Attempt moving an engine stand by grabbing the exhaust or radiator. So radiators get hot, exhaust systems get hot. So just be careful when you put your hand on something that might be hot. Okay, next item is know the procedure for following in case of fire, earthquake, or other disaster. So in our classroom on the wall, we have a poster that says what to do for each condition. So you can actually see kind of where you go out of the room in case something happens. These are the routes that we're supposed to take. So we're located in the auto. So right here. So we're going to be running out and we're going to be heading over to the football field for a fire drill. So these are just the routes to take. We'll get into more safety related to different types of disasters. Okay, next item. Do not point a nozzle of compressed air gun towards yourself or anyone else. Do not spin a bearing with compressed air. So we have air nozzles that can plug into the air hose, and that can be dangerous. Let me show you what the air nozzle looks like. So in our tools, we're coming all the way down to the end here. Here's all our air nozzles. So we take one of these, you hook this to the air hose coupler, and then high pressure air is gonna come out of the end of this nozzle when you pull this trigger. You have to be really careful. You don't wanna point this at anybody. You don't wanna point it at your skin. It can actually send air into your skin and cause air to get trapped into your bloodstream, and that can actually hurt your heart. So you don't wanna do that. Don't blow your face. Don't point this at anybody. If I see you doing that, you're gonna be sitting in the classroom for a while, and if you do it more than once, you might not be in my class anymore, so don't do that. As far as drying bearings off, when we're working with wheel bearings or different types of bearings for different machines, you don't wanna ever blow and make the bearing spin at a high rate of speed because it could actually fall apart. We can show you a video of that. Okay, next item is keep the floor clean of parts and tools and litter. So we try to clean up the shop. We try to keep the aisles relatively clean. We don't want to have tools and parts on the floor where you're working. Everything should pretty much be cleaned up at the end of class. We actually use these tool carts that I have. You can see them here. Got 3 here. We have another one over here. You can see it, the red one over there. We're gonna actually roll these out and use these in the shop. We can put things on top. We can put things on the inside. We have drawers to put stuff in. Okay, so each group will have their own tool cart that you can keep stuff in as you're working. And you can also put stuff on top of it when you're taking things apart. Okay, so we wanna try to keep things nice and clean. Wipe off any spills or any liquid spilled on the floor immediately. Okay, so you want to clean the floor. We have rags In my office, we have a whole bunch of rags we're going to give you. Paper towels. We also use sawdust from the wood shop to sprinkle on oil spills. Here's all the rags that we have. You can see them in the box. Okay, so we're going to give you rags to use when you need to clean stuff up. Okay, also be sure your clothes are safe, suitable for work, good condition, no open shoes. So you shouldn't have sandals on or anything that could drop something on your foot and it has no protection. You want to at least have sneakers or shoes on that will protect you. Number 15 is loose clothing or long hair or any jewelry must be removed or contained. So if you have long hair, you have to kind of tie it back so it doesn't get caught in anything that's spinning. Loose clothes, like hoodie straps are dangerous. Like when you're leaning over, you have your hoodie strap hanging down. You could get it caught in the fan or a belt or a machine and it can get damaged. You could get hurt. Jewelry would be like a necklace or something. You got to be careful of that. You can actually put it over top of the battery and cause a short circuit just from the jewelry making contact with the top of the battery. So you have to be careful of that. Okay, next item is exercise care in handling large or heavy or long pieces of material. So if you're carrying something across the shop, maybe get 2 people and make sure everything's clear so you're not bumping into cars and people and scratching stuff. Okay, next item is always use your leg muscles when you're lifting, never use your back. An object is too heavy. You want to maybe attempt to lift it with 2 people, 3 people. Do not attempt to lift it by yourself if it's really heavy. You might think you can lift that, but later on your back might hurt. So get some help. Okay, next item is, let's see, we have keeping tools and materials from projecting over the edge of benches. So we try to keep the benches pretty neat. If you have stuff hanging off the side that are sharp, somebody might walk into it, get hurt, rip their clothes, get poked with something. We try to keep the shop pretty clear from people bumping into stuff. Keep cabinets and lockers closed. So when you're done with your lockers or your opening cabinets, we have cabinets underneath the benches. Make sure things are closed when you're done using them. Do not touch anyone else's blood or wound. So if somebody's bleeding on the floor, you shouldn't be mopping it up. We're gonna call the janitors. They're gonna clean it up for us. Blood can have different problems in it that you can get. So again, we can put paper towels around you. We can get some rags, but we don't want to be mopping up blood or anything like that. 22, we already mentioned, do not wear open shoes or sandals. Okay, so that's the first area. This is basic safety for the shop. Next is a little about hand tools. Be sure to use the proper tool in correct size for the job. Be sure it's in good working condition. Again, we have tools hanging on the wall. You can see all our tool cabinets. These are all standard sizes, like 1 inch down to like 1/4 inch, 3/8, 9/16. These are for older cars, older equipment that has standard sizes. These here are for metric sizes. So since 1985, basically all cars and trucks are now all metric. The bolts are metric. You have to use metric size wrenches. You have to use metric sockets. Okay, and we have impact sockets, we have regular sockets. The chrome ones are for hand tools. The impact sockets are for air tools. Okay, we have some up here. You can see the impact sockets. Okay, here's all our ratchets, extensions, lots of different tools, pliers, screwdrivers, okay, hammers, chisels, punches. All our air tools are in here, air guns, air punches. There's our tire, Phillips tire gauges, different tools. So these are where we keep most of our hand tools. When we're done, we put them back in the right place. Arrange yourself so that if a wrench would slip, you will not push into an injury. So when you're using a wrench, let's say you grab one of these wrenches up here, you're not supposed to push the wrench. Like when you're trying to loosen something, you shouldn't be pushing it. You should be pulling it towards you, because if you are, let's say you have the open end. This is an open end, this is a box end. Let's say you put the open end and you push real hard, it might slip and then you'll fall over on top of what you're trying to loosen. If you're pulling it towards you, you have a less likely chance of falling on top of something. So you should always pull towards you, don't push it. And again, all these are numbered, so we're gonna put them in the right places. This says 20 millimeters on it. And if you look up top there, you can see 20. So you wanna hang it where the 20 is. Okay. Number 3 is when using an adjustable wrench, apply force against the solid jaw. Now these are adjustable wrenches here. I do not like these tools because they slip. This tool is like a last resort tool. If you don't have the right size wrench and you want to use this, you can actually make smaller and bigger. You can make it any size you want. The problem is an open end wrench like this is not as strong as a box end, like this end. And this, because it's adjustable, is a little flimsy. That means it's kind of loose. So that can cause it to slip when you're trying to loosen something. It could strip the bolt or nut that you're trying to loosen. So if I saw a technician grab this tool, that tells me they don't really have the right tools to be working on my car. I want to see a full set of wrenches like that, every size that you possibly need. That shouldn't be their go-to tool. Okay, that is not the right tool to be using unless if that's the only tool that you have. Okay, next item, number 4 is don't hold the work in your hand while using a screwdriver. Okay, so here's our screwdrivers here. You have 2 different types generally. You have the slotted screwdriver, which I think most of you are familiar with. And then we have, these are Phillips head screwdrivers. Here's, you can see the tip looks a little different. So if the head of the screw or whatever you're trying to loosen looks like kind of a square, actually like a cross, it's probably a Phillips head. If it's just a straight line, probably a slotted screwdriver. So what they're saying is if you have a part in your hand and you're trying to loosen it, it could slip and then poke through your hand or hurt your hand. We have things called vices right here. This is what we call a vice. We open this up, you turn this handle here, and you can actually put whatever you're working on. Let's say we're working on this metal thing here. I can put this inside the vise and then tighten it up, and then I can drill in it. I can unscrew something. This is like kind of like having an extra set of hands. So we have lots of vices around the room. Just put this back. Over here on the bench, you can see we have a couple vices. Here's a real big one right here. Okay, this is a real big vise, and then we have another one over here. So they're actually on most of the benches as you walk around the shop to hold things when you're working on them. Okay, next item, let's see. Be sure your hands are free of grease, oil, dirt when using hand tools. Okay, so like if you're using a ratchet or something like that, one of these tools, if your hand's all greasy, you're gonna slip. This handle is chrome and it's pretty slippery as it is. If your hands are greasy or oily, you should wipe them off. When you're gonna hang these tools back up, make sure you wipe them off first. If your hands got greasy while you were just, undoing something, you don't wanna hang the tool back up on the wall with oil dripping off of it or grease. That's not the right way to do that. The handle edge of pointed tools with care, or handle edge of pointed tools with care, and be sure to point the sharp edge away from yourself and others. So if you're walking across a room with a screwdriver, you shouldn't be holding it like towards you like this. Okay, you should be holding it down or away from you. You really shouldn't be pointing it like that either. You should really just be pointing it away from people as you're walking so you're not poking people with a screwdriver. Okay, next page. Number 7, pass tools to others with the handle first, never throw them. So that's kind of common sense. Don't be throwing tools across the room. Have your friend catch it, have them miss and then hurt somebody. Do not use a chisel or punch that has a mushroomed head. Now these are what we call punches and chisels, all these things here. If it has a straight edge like this is a chisel. Now this is the end here that you hit with a hammer. What happens sometimes when it gets older, you can kind of see this one a little. See how the top of that is kind of getting pushed out a little, kind of starts to look like a mushroom. Well, if it has a big mushroom head on it, that means that you have to kind of take this tool to a grinder and grind off the mushroom part. And I'll show you the grinder that we have, because when you're hitting with a hammer, pieces of this can break off and fly in the air and hit somebody or hit you. So if you see something with a mushroom head on it, we need to take care of that. This one's in pretty good shape. Okay, so they shouldn't have a mushroom on the end when you're using them. So this is what we call a punch, a center punch. You can see it's a pointy. Like if I'm gonna drill into a piece of metal, I'll put a punch hole in it first, or like a little indentation so the drill bit goes to the right place. If you just try to drill in a piece of metal, sometimes it moves all over the place. You wanna make sure you center punch it first. Here's a real long punch there, chisel. All right, number 9, screwdrivers are not to be used as a chisel. Okay, so even though the head of the end of the screwdriver kind of looks like a chisel a little, that's not a chisel. Okay, so if I see somebody using a screwdriver as a chisel, I'm gonna have to have a talk with you. Chisels are heat treated. So this here, which kind of looks like a screwdriver a little, but this is a lot stronger and it has a sharper blade that's used to chop something. Screwdrivers shouldn't be used to do that. All right, do not pry or force with a file. Now over here we have files. I'll show you where they are. Now the deal with files is they're very brittle. They're designed very hard because they have to shave off metal when you're cutting or you're trying to file something down. So inside here you can see we have a whole bunch of files. These are flat files, as you can see. On the side, this is a flat file. Some are different shapes. We have this one here is like a round file if you have to go inside a hole and you're trying to file that. Here's like kind of a half, this is kind of like half moon shaped file. So different shapes, but they're all brittle. So if you try to use this as like a pry bar, you stick it in something, you're trying to move something with a file, you're gonna snap it right in half. They're not designed to do that. Okay, under machinery, do not use or turn on any tool or equipment until you're given instructions on its proper use, including the necessary safety precautions. So I don't want anybody going up to let's say the tire machine here until you are review how to use it properly and I give you the okay to use this machine. You can't just walk up to a machine and start using it and say, I know how to use this already. We have a lot of equipment in here that can be dangerous. If you start hitting buttons on it, you can actually get hurt. Vent the exhaust of a running engine outside. Turn on overhead fan and open doors as necessary. Okay, so what we have in the shop, if you look up here on the ceiling, you'll see these exhaust collectors. This one here, what we can do, you can pull this down. It's like rolled up there. You pull this down, you stick that end there in the tailpipe. And then on the wall, we have a button that says exhaust fan. Okay, if I turn that on, you can hear it. What it's doing, it's sucking air into the tube, and it's gonna run it out the ceiling. So you can see that pipe going out the ceiling, a silver pipe. And basically what it does is it takes the exhaust from the vehicle and sends it outside so you don't get carbon monoxide building up in the shop. Carbon monoxide is deadly, it's odorless, and it's colorless, so you can't tell that it's building up in the air. And the problem with that is it'll cause you to get sleepy, and eventually if you get too much in your blood, you can actually die. So We have doors here. Sometimes we have the doors open, sometimes they're closed. These are manually operated doors. So you have to go here to this chain here. And as I pull the chain, you can see the door opens up. Okay, also going down, you gotta pull the chain the other way. You can see what I'm doing with my hand, and that causes the door to go down. So all of our doors, when you're done, there's like a little catch to put this into that kind of locks it in place. We have 3 bay doors. They call these bay doors that all operate manually with a chain. Okay. Next is number 3. Do not prime a carburetor with gasoline unless it has specific permission from the instructor. If a car won't start, that could mean that it's not getting enough fuel. And what we have, I have to grab a can of it. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so we have different cans of different types of fluids. We have brake clean, which is used to clean off brake parts. This is throttle body cleaner. This is carburetor and choke and throttle body cleaner. We have one can, I believe I have some in my office, called starting fluid. So you can actually spray a little of this into a carburetor if the engine's not starting, and that will cause the engine maybe to be able to get started for you. Here's my starting fluid box. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so here, this one here says starting fluid on it. So this is safe to use in gas and diesel engines. So if an engine won't start, do not pour gasoline into the engine. You're going to spray a little of this in there and then try to start the engine. Gasoline can be very deadly because it's very flammable and it can get all over the place if you pour too much in there, cause an explosion. All right, so don't use gasoline to do that. It says do not remove a radiator cap with a warm engine. So on a radiator, let's see if we have a radiator around it I can show you. Let's see if we have one over here. I can pop a hood open and take a look. Well, radiator caps are where you fill the vehicle with antifreeze. The problem is when you start up an engine and run it for about 5 or 10 minutes, the coolant gets very hot and pressurizes. So if you open up the hood here, and if you look over here, on this particular vehicle, you can see right here, it says right on the cap, never open hot. Okay, so right here it says never open hot. I usually feel it with my hand. If it's hot to the touch, like to the point where I can't keep my hand on it, I'm not gonna open it, because I can show you some video of people opening these when it's hot. It'll look like a geyser coming out, like a volcano. And that's hot, 200+ degree temperature fluid that's squirting all over the place. And you don't wanna get burned by that. It'll get on your clothes. You'll have maybe some second-degree burns all over your body. So you should let it sit for maybe 5 or 10 minutes for it to cool down a little before you try to take a radiator cap off. Okay, so that's what that is. Number 5 is arrange wires, cords, hoses, and tools so don't touch rotating parts of an engine or a machine. So we try to keep wires and stuff away from machines. We have all our different extension cords hanging up on the side of the bench here. Keep them away from rotating parts. Next item, be sure to keep others clear from machines while turning on power. So if you're going to be using something that spins like a tire balancer, okay, make sure nobody's touching this stuff when you hit the button. Over here is our brake lathe that we showed you in the other video. Come over here. You don't want anybody touching something when you're hitting the on button. because things spin and machines do not stop. They basically will turn and somebody might get hurt. Okay, so here's our brake lays. Like if somebody's touching the end of this, when you turn it on, they're gonna get hurt or something might get caught in it. If somebody starts screaming that they're getting hurt, we actually have emergency stop buttons in the room. If you look on the wall, see this says emergency. It has on off. If you hit this off button, that will shut all the machines off in the shop instantly. So if somebody's screaming in the back corner of the room that they're getting hurt, all along the wall, kind of strategically placed, we have these emergency stop buttons that you can hit. So in case somebody's getting hurt, you can hit one of those buttons and that will keep them from continuing to get hurt. You can see them over here if we come around. Okay, wherever it says like emergency stop, we're looking along the walls. Okay, you can hit those buttons and that will prevent somebody from getting hurt. Okay, next item on our list. Number 7 is stay clear of machines being operated by others. Safety zone around machine is reserved for the operator. So if you see like a yellow dotted like line around the bottom of a machine, we're gonna have to redo that. It's like usually like, if you look on the floor here, you can see some on the floor. These yellow areas, that's where the operator's standing. You shouldn't be like on top of them in the area where they're operating the machine. These are like safety zones. Okay, number 8, stand out of the way of direct line of rotating parts, especially when they're moving. So if something like flies out of a tire or out of a drum, it doesn't hit you. Never touch a moving object on a machine. Okay, so when something's spinning, you shouldn't be trying to grab it. Okay, you should shut the machine off, let it stop. Then you can readjust something. Or number 10 is hands and feet must be dry when handling electrical equipment. So we have a lot of tools that we use that plug into wall outlets inside the room here. You can see we have on our shelf. We got grinders, we have sanders, different various tools that plug into the wall that you need to have dry hands to use. Okay, under fire protection, number 1, know the location of the fire extinguishers and the fire alarm. Okay, so on the walls and kind of strategically placed around the shop, we'll find some fire extinguishers. Let's see if we can locate one. Here's one by the door. Okay, so right here, this is a fire extinguisher. If you need to use this, you're gonna pull it off the wall. And in order to use a fire extinguisher, see this blue tag they have on here? Okay, they checked it for 2020. You're gonna have to pull this pin out of here, which is gonna break this seal. Once the pin is pulled out, you can take this hose, which is part of your fire extinguisher. You want to point it towards the bottom of the fire, like towards the lower part of the fire, and then squeeze these 2 parts of the fire extinguisher with the pin removed, and then the powdery flame retarding material will come out the hose, and you're going to kind of like spray this on the bottom of the fire to try to get it contained. If it's a large fire, we're just leaving. We're not going to be playing fireman here, so if there's a large fire, we're gonna just run out of here and let the fire department handle it. But if it's a small fire, we can try to take care of it ourselves. I'm just looking around the shop. I can see another fire extinguisher over here by the shop door. And ultimately, there's a couple scattered around. There's another one over by that door. There's one all the way in the back corner. They're red, so you can kind of see them pretty quickly. There's another one in between the 2 doors there. Okay, so ultimately we have a couple different fire extinguishers. All right. Hey.
Hey, I'm
you
the guy
doing?
with the tools.
Okay, hold on.